right. So tell us who you are and what you do.
All right. So my name is Alana Carvalho. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I really specialize in helping people form like true, real, intimate relationships, whether it's parent-child relationships or in a couple or just even friendships. But that's what I do. I help make relationships work.
So some of the things that we spoke of before, we're going to ask you again, because I for sure in the beginning wasn't completely aware of what codependency was with parents and children. I think I thought it was something a little bit different. So when we're talking about codependency, people are in children, what does that mean?
Okay. So last time we talked about it as I gave you the example of the helicopter parent, but I want to give a general kind of understanding for people. Really, it's kind of the act of feeling a really strong emotional reaction or responsibility for someone else's feelings or experience. For example, if your child is going through something difficult or even something minor, but you have a reaction to it and you put yourself into the situation to try to alleviate the feelings for your child, because actually it's distressing for us as codependents to allow our child to feel their feelings.
What is a long-term effects on a child that has a codependent relationship with, let's say, their mother, and then all of a sudden it's time for them to be either independent because they've gotten older or time to move out?
Right. So this is one of the things we talked about last time that I think is really important, is for parents to realize that you're not doing your child a service by helping them not feel their feelings. You want your child to feel their feelings. You want to learn how to navigate through difficult emotions so that later in life, when you're not there all the time, they can learn how to do the same thing and not try to just like get themselves out of those feelings really quickly. Because a lot of times that's where we start using different like dysfunctional things in our life to alleviate or avoid the feelings that we're feeling.
I think it's just important to touch upon. I think a lot of parents who feel discomfort when their child feels discomfort, it's very normal. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's codependency. Those feelings don't equal that. But what you're saying is when you go in and carry them through it so they don't feel it is when you have a red alert of codependency. How do we as parents reflect? Like, am I taking care of my child or am I saving my child?
Yeah, like has anyone ever called themselves out or they only call themselves out when it's too late?
Okay, well, the first thing is it's never too late. Like I shared with you guys last time, I think that I work with parents of even like young adults, and I find that they can even make huge changes that help their child like begin to flourish once they take a step back. So really it can happen at any age, that you can improve the relationship and also help your child thrive better in the world. But the younger you do it, the better. And codependency can come up at any particular point in time. And I'm going to say something that might be a little complicated here, but we tend to have a stronger reaction to our children's feelings and experiences about things when it's something that has happened to us in our life as well. So for example, like if our kid is going through something where like maybe they're being left out at school, like they're not part of like the cool group or something like that. And all of a sudden we don't realize, but we maybe had that same experience, or, you know, we were part of the cool group and we couldn't imagine not being part of the cool group, right? And so we start having this reaction to what's going on with our kid. And then unconsciously we don't realize it, but like we're actually trying to get our child to work through a lot of the stuff that actually is our emotional baggage that we're carrying. You want to be mindful that when your child is going through something and you're having like a really strong reaction to it, it's probably because it's something about you and your experience and less about your child's experience. And that's what you need to learn how to separate.
What I think I'm trying to get at is parents who are listening right now, and obviously you have a book and you have a website, but there is ways that they can look at those feelings that are coming up, because they'll say like, oh my God, this is is there a way to be like, whose issue is this? How do we separate and reflect in those moments where we feel like we want to knee jerk?
Sure. Yeah, I think one of the things I talk about in my book so much is how to separate out what is me and what is my child. And that's a thing that I don't think we're taught often. But the reality is that whenever we're having an emotional reaction to something, it's actually always about me. It's never actually about my child. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow,
say
that's
that,
juicy.
Say that one more time, because
Okay.
I think that the teen and tween group could hear this major.
Yeah, this is really important. My reaction is always about me. Okay, it's not about my child. So even if my child is doing something that's not okay, upsetting, makes me angry, it's actually still not about them. It's still about me. Okay, so I, as a parent, always have to identify, I'm feeling this way, not because you caused it. It might be connected with something that your child is doing, but you have to take ownership of your feelings. You cannot put them on your children to explain, if that makes sense. This is another piece of codependency where when we have lots of feelings and we share them a lot with our children, they can have a tendency to take on our feelings, right? And that can create a really codependent relationship between us and our children.
This is a tougher one, and for older kids, and I know we also touched upon it in the teen or tween group, but because this is with the age where what you're talking about, having a codependent child, things kind of begin to really get dire, because it might really impact their mental health and depression and kind of no identity, as they're supposed to have this full identity. So let's just say you have a child with mental health challenges, and not all of it is because of codependency, let's be honest.
Right,
but
now.
It becomes a more codependent relationship when you have a child who's using drugs or, with mental health issues, because it's safety, not just about giving them confidence. So when the behavior has gone sort of really quite far and you need to keep them safe, so it would be a more codependent relationship, what are the ways we can peel that to give mom some tools to help their child in that position?
Yeah. Okay, so this I shared last time. A lot of my work came out of working with parents who were dealing with children who had mental health and substance abuse issues. And honestly, those parents, first of all, I just want to acknowledge them. They go through a lot, and I really feel for them. Those relationships often become the most codependent because the child has so many needs and the parent is so fearful about the situations the child is in and what could possibly happen. And that's where I often step in, and I actually help these parents take many steps back from their children.
Wow.
And it gives the child actually so much more advantage to get well because they see their parent doing it and they're modeling that behavior to them. And actually the child's craving that from that parent. I need you to separate from me. We're too enmeshed with each other, but nobody really knows how to do that.
Alana, I do want to say to the parents who I don't think parents are alone going through this right now. And if you are, I don't think this is something you do without the help and guidance of a professional. I'm assuming you don't just want to kind of go hands off and do this without someone. I just want to really preface that I think that it's with the help of somebody guiding you both through this. So I'm sure the red alerts and when it's time to step back in and, help them. But I think that that's probably I think I got goosebumps from just hearing.
I was just going to tell her when she said that, I literally got goosebumps on my arm because I know you've dealt with it so much, but just imagining that you have this child that's in trauma, it's just it's so all encompassing. And then to think that you have to step away from them and that's a good thing is so hard. But when you say it clearly makes sense. Yes. I mean, guys, it's inevitable that your 5-year-old is not your 15-year-old. So we need to have the tools to be able to parent in the way that is most beneficial to our children. Where can everybody find you? What's your book called?
You should sell earplugs with your book, for the toddler moms who hear their kid crying and don't distract them. Just put your earplugs in and let them blow.
That's such a good idea. Yes. Everyone can find me. So my handle on Instagram is the Codependent Perfectionist. And you can actually type that in as the website too. It's either thecodependentperfectionist.com or alanacarvalho.com. And my book is Raising Empowered Children The Codependent Perfectionist Guide to Parenting, and it's available on Amazon.
We didn't even touch on perfectionism, so we definitely need to have you back, because perfectionism is a whole nother problem.
Let's go and talk about that in the next time we get her in the Teen
Oh
and Tween,
my
because
God,
that was you, right?
Yes, yes.
You're a perfectionist.
Absolutely. I'm the codependent perfectionist. I'm in recovery here, guys.
I love it.
And it's usually firstborns, I'm assuming. So she goes, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will tag you everywhere so people can find you, and have
you are just such a sense maker.
You gave us goosebumps again today.
Thanks, ladies. I can't wait to talk with you again. Have a wonderful
You're
day.
amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.